Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here with another Legacy video. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com and we'll take a look at them after round 1. So, we're going to be playing with Dark Depths today, but there's a little asterisk here. This is not your mama's Dark Depths list. So, this is what Damien called 5-step depths. This is a Dark Depths list that has 5 distinct ways to win the game. The Dark Depths combo of assembling Dark Depths and either Thespian stage or Vampire Hexmage to rip all of the ice counters off of Dark Depths or otherwise circumvent the problem and create a 20/20 monster. You can win with fan favorite Sheoldred the Apocalypse that essentially just hits for 6 a turn after counting the trigger and even more versus cantrip decks. That's way 2. Number 3 is to be on a mid-range beatdown plan with cards like Elvish Reclaimer and Endurance. Number 4 is that there is a Thassa's Oracle Doomsday juke package out of the sideboard. And number 5 is that there is a Court of Ambition, which introduces the monarchy to the game and drains your opponent for either 3 or 6 life during their upkeep, unless they discard a card or 2 cards if you're the monarch. This is a deck that is not necessarily focused, but it has an extremely wide range of things that it is capable of doing. Because there is, okay, let me restate this. There is a bounty attached to this league. If I can win a game, not a match, a game with 3 of the 5 win conditions described above, I get paid out a little bit something extra. So we are going into this league accepting that there is absolutely some cute jank in this deck list, but we're going to see if the wide range of stuff actually is viable. So the supporting cast here is a decent amount of discard as disruption, a little bit of tutorability, and a little bit of mid-range stuff off of some value-oriented lands packages and the ability to bring them back. So kind of our game plan is we hope to win game 1 off of a Dark Depths combo, and then for the post-sideboard games, we kind of hope that one of these other win conditions can maybe just take over the game. Now, I want to kind of caution people ahead of time. Because we're trying to do cute things and win in a bunch of different ways, we are not optimal at basically anything. We're not maxed out on Dark Depths and Thespian stage, meaning we have a slightly lower chance of just going like turn 1 Urborg, turn 2 Depths, Hexmage, got him. So, like, that's something to keep in mind, because we do need real mana sources to cast things like Doomsday. Just letting you know some of the weirdness associated with this deck list. The Doomsday piles that I'm going to make are going to involve Manamorphose so that I can actually get blue. Okay? Like, that's a thing that I'm going to have to potentially do, so that I can actually cast this Thassa's Oracle, because there's not so much blue mana in the mana base, although technically, like, we do have some ways to make blue. I don't like that this deck is, like, playing some random things that look like Green Sun targets without playing Green Sun, and, like, the Collector Oof is going to get in the way of some of my own stuff sometimes, and it's super weird to do something like play 2 Leylines. I think this is a time where the jank is going to weigh me down, but if we go back months and months and months to like the Ad Nauseam Dark Depths deck that I played, that deck ended up being incredibly strong because it was like flexible and slightly annoying to play against, and maybe this deck accomplishes some of the same stuff. I'm skeptical, and I don't know how this league is going to go, but I'm gonna try my darndest to win some games. I think with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the matches here. It's probably gonna be a weird day if you're new here and this is your first video on the channel. We're not usually doing bounty hunt stuff. Today's kind of special. And if you're a regular, drop me a like before this video begins. It's the easiest way to support my content for free. Wish me luck. Here we go. Okay. I don't have an Urborg here for the perfects. I actually don't have a second black mana source. Do I keep this hand? Opponent's a fan of the channel. Like, hand's very reasonable, but doesn't quite do anything? Guess a bunch of draws make it really good. I think I just chip it, though. Like, I've got no disruption here. Oh, yeah, this hand is way better. Mox Diamond. Pitch Snow-Covered Forest. Cast Profane. Suspend Profane Tutor on turn 1. Yeah, this is fine. Probably getting rid of Crop Rotation here. I like it. Discard Forests, I guess. Play Stage. Suspend Profane Tutor. Let's see what we're playing against. I've seen an absolute ton of initiative decks online, but it looks like this could be Delver. No Shuffle with the Ponder. I might have Wasteland to deal with. Ooh, I like that. Lets me sculpt this turn a bit. Thoughtseize is played around days. Yeah, those cards are not stopping me from doing a Dark Depths next turn. Guess I just take the Force of Will. It's a little worrying if my opponent's top card is just a Wasteland. Otherwise, I think I'm largely good. Like, I care about Wastelands this turn, and then I care about Brazen Borrower the following turn. So I will cast this Profane Tutor. I imagine my opponent responds with a Daze. They did not. So, in the world where my opponent does have Brazen Borrower, what do I want so that I can win this game? Probably like from the loam. Try again. Endurance isn't bad, but I know my opponent has Daze. Yeah, opponent says that was bad. I needed a Daze to stop Merit Lodge. Yup. They think I tutored for Dark Depths, which I actually did not do. I'm just going to go ahead and make the copy here. Okay, cool. Now, notably, my opponent isn't dead there. They can flip or blind flip Delver to block for a turn, play Murktide Regent to block for a turn, and play towards Brazen Borrower. But they're not doing that. Alright, so check mark, we've got to win with depths. Sheoldred, midrange, Oracle, and Court to go. Since I have all this cute stuff in my sideboarding is not actually going to be very good in most rounds. I'm looking at Tabernacle and Spellbomb here as things that are somewhat reasonable to do. In general, I don't like crop rotation versus blue decks, but I might be keeping it here just because I have so few cards that I want to board in. I think I'm not excited about Currency Converter. It's going to become the Spellbomb. Tabernacle is medium, but probably good enough. -1 crop rotation for the Tabernacle. I could see that. This is a medium hand. It's very bad against a turn 1 threat. And it doesn't have enough mana. I think I just ship this one rather than keep a shaky hand. That's gonna be a hard pass for me, dog. What are we on now? This is on 5. This is a keep. Going towards a mid-range win condition here. Probably pitch Verdant Catacombs here. Turn 1 Urza Saga Petal map. In that order. Turn 2 Tomb. Turn 3 Bog my opponent. Get rid of this. Oh, I have to get rid of 2 of these. Well, it's Sheoldred then. Unless I get rid of, unless I'm supposed to get rid of Lotus Petal. If I don't get Wastelanded, I want Lotus Petal. If I do get Wastelanded, Sheoldred's actually bad anyway. Yeah, this is fine. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, that double Thoughtseize hand would have been awful against a Dragon Rage Channeler start. Okay. You've got some stuff going. So I'll pedal now. And then I can play Expedition map around a Daze. Fantastic. Meltdown's gonna kick the ever-loving crap out of me this game. So hopefully my opponent just doesn't have that. They topped whatever they were just looking at with Dragon Rage Channeler, which isn't good. It probably means Wasteland. Yeah, that's very good. So I'll take a little bit of damage here. So Seiju's not great right now. Probably just play Ancient Tomb, intending on getting an Urza Saga. Yes, I could straight up get a Dark Depths. Maybe I'll get a Dark Depths. Like, going for the Dark Depths is just a little rough versus counterspells right now, though. Yeah. I'll take one from this attack. And I'm pretty likely to face down a Murktide Regent in the not-too-distant future. Always activating this. I think I get Saga. Thoughtseize. I don't know that I want to Thoughtseize right now. I think I just want to play my Saga and keep the artifact around. I just feel so vulnerable to Wasteland right now, and my opponent's cantrips are just so good. Ugh. So with double Surveil here, yeah, it's incredibly likely that my opponent attacks me for 6 with these Dragon Rage Channelers this turn. Fuck. Well, that would have been good against either one of my things. An opponent controls, I can't use it on my own Urza Saga here. I'm only taking 2, and I can bog to buy some time. This is not the end of the world, but my draws have not been good. Let's bog my opponent and hope I randomly find a Dark Depths. I still believe it is correct to not Thoughtseize. Like, I would much prefer to Thoughtseize right before something critical happens. And I imagine my opponent will go very aggressively on putting things into the graveyard here. And this is one of those times where I really wish I had the 4th Dark Depths in the deck, because, like, that's just the card that I want to draw here. Only one card type in graveyard, though, after that Bojuka Bog. I guess that's nice. Guess I'm just playing out one of these. It sucks that it costs me a Lotus Petal, though. It's just like bad versus Lightning Bolt and Unholy Heat. Maybe I'm not playing one out. Like, it maybe saves 1 life. A lot of times, like, I'm not going to play it, it's going to get countered, it fuels these and makes those bigger. Maybe let's just hit some land drops here. Things can get a lot better for me if I draw, like, an Urborg, for example. I think this is just a time where my opponent cleanly answering to Urza's Sagas was just incredibly brutal. We topped something with the 2nd Dragon Rage Channeler, and they're about to draw it with Bobble. There's still 3 card types in graveyard, which I'm very thankful for. My opponent didn't, like, find an expressive iteration to grow these. But I'm not thankful for this shit. Yeah. I imagine that means that I'm just dead. I can technically cast that Endurance and survive another turn. Cost me my Lotus Petal, though. I think I'm comfortable conceding here. Let's go to the next game. Do I want the other crop rotation when I am on the play? Such a risky card. I think the answer is no. I could, like, trim a land here relatively safely. Makes my 2 Mox Diamonds worse. Well, I wish I was playing Exploration, but this is a turn 3 Goldfish, so I probably just keep it. And if it doesn't work, I start playing an Urza Saga game plan. Or maybe I start on the Urza Saga game plan and go a different direction. Thespian Sage is pretty non-committal. Let's just throw that out this turn. The only thing it takes me off of is hardcast an immediately drawn Vampire Hexmage. I would wait to play around days anyway. Yeah. Let's Bayou Pass here and not go for the fastest possible Goldfish. Alright, Ponder's fine. So in case it's not obvious, I don't think I explicitly said this. I can go 1, 2, 3 as my 3 land drops, and Yavimaya would cause Dark Depths to tap for green, and that gives me my fastest possible Goldfish. But the line that I'm working towards right now lets me play out a Vampire Hexmage and this, like, kind of force my opponent to expend some resources. And I wish this was an Urborg. Seize my opponent now? Oh, this is so awkward. It's like Thoughtseize looking for Brazen Borrower. If I like take it if they have it, or get a counterspell out of their hand, and then go for depths next turn. Sounds pretty good. My opponent wants to double daze. Guess that's fine. So here I take their EI and just plan on beating anything that's not Wasteland pretty easily. Right, it doesn't matter too much what land drop I play this turn. Guess I'll make it a Yavimaya. So I think I lose to Wasteland, being my opponent's top card. Okay, yeah, that's great. Yeah, you can have your Delver. You can attack me for 4. And then I will have a Dark Depths, and I'll just make it immediately. I know my opponent's exact hand. Fantastic. Depths. 1, 2. Stage. Copy. Keep the one with no counters. Now play an Elvish Reclaimer, because I played Yavimaya last turn. I have the bonus mana that allows me to do this. This has to be Force of Willed. Lightning Bolt goes to Graveyard. So playing the Elvish Reclaimer would have allowed me to have lethal next turn. If Delver flips. Opponent says right on time. Yup. That Wasteland was just a touch too late. So now my opponent can't attack, and they're dead in a couple of turns to Merit Lodge nonsense. So they are in the Abyss, which is great for me. Delver blocks. And I can start doing Urza Saga nonsense too. That works towards a Shadow Spear, which sounds great to me. Now, there are worlds where my opponent can beat me, right? Like, they can flip Delver. Ooh, that's bad. This has to attack now. Yeah, there's the GG from my opponent. Alright, fantastic. So that's another win with Merit Lodge. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is a deck building website for Magic the Gathering, but they do a lot more than that. In addition to just deck building, you can also use it as a collection tracker, keeping track of what versions of cards you own, their condition, language, and even price, although that can sometimes be a little bit scary. So if you're looking for a website that can kind of do it all at once, please consider checking out Moxfield. They support my content. Okay, round 2. I have a reasonable opening hand that I will keep. We're probably looking to win this one with Merit Lodge. Alright, my opponent has mulliganed once to start things off, which is going to make this Thoughtseize hit a little bit harder. Oh, we're playing against probably a Painter deck list. I'm going to take the Retrofitter Foundry here. It's my opponent's turn 1 play. And, like, I know the Ingenious Smith can be better because, like, it can look for stuff, but this specifically makes a flyer, and that's kind of a big deal sometimes. Reclaimer and map this turn. Seems pretty reasonable. Just thinking if there's any worlds where I want to play Hexmage this turn. Not really. Like, without the ability to accelerate out some mana with something like an Ancient Tomb here, it's a little tough. Again, I would love if this was Urborg. Oh, that's a very good draw. That's a very, very, very good draw. Sure. An Ornithopter. That's very good. So that triggers this and puts a +1/+1 counter on it while giving them a blocker. Got 2 onboard ways to search up Dark Depths. Just thinking whether or not, like, which one of these cards I should play this turn, or whether or not I should just search up Depths. If I play out Hexmage, it can be kind of awkward. Play out Hexmage next turn when I can use it immediately. I'm just going to play Verdant Catacombs and pass. Oh, right, my opponent has Karakas. That's also awkward. I think I fucked up. Oh, maybe I didn't. I could have just Expedition mapped for Wastelanded Saga immediately. Sure. It's a +1/+1 counter. There's the Karakas. Put 2 lands into my graveyard easily. This only triggers once a turn? It's already triggered this turn, so I can just play Endurance, nuke that Retrofitter Foundry, and take this out of the way. And then work on beating Karakas and potentially Pithing Needle some other way. That seems fine. Alright, nuke your graveyard. Take my block here. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So I can... The Saga's very awkward. Let's fetch with this. Grab a Bayou. I think I wasteland this. Do my searching. Find wasteland. Play wasteland. Wasteland the Saga. You can make your robot. The 3/3. I think I just settle in for a slightly longer game. Do I attack with this? I do, because I'm not going to be blocking with it, because it'll be at least a 4/4 on my opponent's turn. Alright. Another way that I could have played this is using Vampire Hexmage as a way to get rid of Urza's Saga, and that's potentially better. It's a weird game. Ox Opal is totally reasonable. I was going to get to put a counter on this and have a decent-sized construct. Their third Ingenious Smith. Oh, we've got Hammer. Okay. That's good to know about. Oh, shit. Okay. So, there's more immediacy than I thought. I just lose to that Hammer, right? I think I just lose to that Hammer. Thought we were playing against Mono White Painter, and we weren't. I can get rid of my Yavimaya, find a Dark Depths, play out a Hexmage, pass a turn. Also this Caracas, though. Yeah, I think I'm just dead. Dead to this Colossus Hammer, Sigarda's Aid. And, like, there's still the Caracas that I need another turn to beat, too. Alright. So that happens, putting a +1/+1 counter on these. Yeah. So I can, like, remove counters from this to stay alive, but I think I just concede here, because I just can't beat this in the long run now. Yeah, if I realized that we were playing against Hammer earlier, I think I could have won this. But I didn't. That's not really a legacy deck. I say, playing this glorious pile. Alright, I probably just board in a couple of mid-range cards and call that good. Tabernacles may be playable. I don't think I really want Endurance here, although it's a green card for Force of Vigor. Currency Converter feels really slow. Endurance feels slow as well. I think the problem with this deck list is that, like, despite the fact that it has a bunch of different plans, like, the Dark Depths plan is just clearly the best plan. I keep this and believe in the deck to do things. I probably do. And I just intend on hard casting Force of Vigor. Mox Diamond. Discard a Verdant Catacombs. Thoughtseize my opponent now. Probably just take the Source of Plowshares. Make an Urborg and pass. My opponent will play turn 1 Esper Sentinel. Doesn't actually matter very much. I'm gonna hope to kill that in combat. Ooh. Do I? Yeah, I probably just play mana efficiently here. Okay, sure. If my opponent swings in, they do. Fetch a Bayou. I'll cast an Endurance. I'm not going to put that Swords to Plowshares back in their deck. That is very much a card I do not want them to have. Alright, we have killed the Esper Sentinel for free. Your Steel Paladin is going to happen. Alright, this is a double Elvish Reclaimer turn, I think. My opponent has some unknown cards, but I don't think I intend on pitch casting Force of Vigor. I think I just plan on winning this game with mid-range beats. And hopefully attack for 9 next turn if I draw a fetch land. In the timelines where I draw a fetch land, I just get to fetch, turn both of these on, attack for 9 with Force of Vigor backup. Sure, this is okay. Like, my opponent doesn't have the Metalcraft yet to make that equip free. Now they do. That's fine. Like, I have Force of Vigor. This is okay. So the real question is, like, do I just take 12? Or do I chump? I think I take the 12. The chumps still work in future turns most of the time. Shadow Spear. Is not a green card or a land. Is, however, the thing that I am doing this turn. Take an equip on Endurance. I think I have to hold both of these back so one removal spell doesn't kill me. crash in with Endurance. Opponent goes to 13. I go back to 9. And we'll see if Ingenious Smith kills me. Ornithopter's fine. The annoying part is that, like, now my opponent can move the Colossus Hammer around. I'll do the chump here. And opponent understandably moves it to the Ornithopter. Now, what am I doing? Ugh, that collector oof is so awkward right now. It probably just means I'm pitch casting at this turn. I attack in with Endurance. See if I can set up something favorable for myself here. Alright. That's not surprising. So I will Force a Vigor, getting rid of Colossus Hammer and probably Pithing Needle. Oh fuck, this is an if it's not your turn. Oh, I just punted. Well, GG's. I fucked that one up. I don't know that I'm looking at the next couple of cards. I can't look at the next couple of cards. Quality program. So I do this on my opponent's turn. I get rid of Colossus Hammer and Pithing Needle. I activate Elvish Reclaimer for Bayou. Yeah, hard to say without actually being able to see the next couple of cards. I'm not in great shape, but I'm not in horrible shape either. Okay, this is round 3. This hand doesn't do anything. This is an easy mulligan. This hand is a keep. Probably pitching the Yavimaya. I don't know. Might need all of those mana sources. Like, how important is the acceleration here? Maybe the acceleration isn't important. I just get rid of Mox Diamond. I could buy that. Alright, we're playing against 8cast. Let's see how dumb of a turn they have. Do not care that much about Chalice. Like, the duress is kind of whatever here. Like, it's impactful, but I can just draw Dark Depths in my first 2 draw steps and just kill my opponent that way. So I will pretty much always lead on Urborg on turn 1 here. And that is still true. Urborg pass. I've got turn 2 Vampire Hexmage into turn 3 Sheoldred, and Sheoldred's ability is definitely relevant here. We're mostly hoping that opponent can't find some sort of Kappa Cannoneer type card. Is Vampire Hexmage a removal spell for Urza Saga? Because it kind of looks like it is right now. I just try to use Sheoldred to beat Emery Bauble. I buy this. Opponent's pausing. Force of Will could be a thing. Okay, I got a Kappa Cannoneer for my trouble, which definitely matters. Given that I've drawn more lands since my opening hand, I do kind of miss the Mox Diamond. I don't really regret throwing it back. I think my opponent's incredibly favored to win right now, though. Like, my Sheoldred is not bad. I just don't think it's going to be as strong as just unchecked Urza Saga here. I don't think I can take a turn off to Boseiju the Urza Saga. It just doesn't feel like that's a winning line. We'll see what I draw. Oh. I don't know, maybe I don't beat double Urza Saga activation. Yeah, maybe I don't beat double activation. Let's Boseiju it. My opponent can have 1 construct token. This is an exchange that's very favorable for my opponent, because they make a token out of this, and then they get a land to replace the one that I just blew up. And then they just get another turn of drawing an extra card because they have Emery that I can't quite answer yet. Alright, sure. I can be facing down Kappa Cannoneer immediately, or like Thought Monitors or whatever. Galson 2 is pretty bad. I can still get lucky with my draws. But they're going for Mox Opal now. That's probably not good for me. Yeah, they are willing to just not take a card draw there. Alright, I'm at 15. Life's bad. Life from the Loam, huh? That's interesting. It's weird. And I don't have to take damage here because of Urborg. So I think I am planning on taking 1 hit from the construct and then trying to Life from the Loam Boseiju that thing into oblivion. I'm going to lose the game on the spot to a Kappa Cannoneer. Alright, I'll take 5 from this attack. I'm at 10. Life total is in danger. Oh, fuck. Alright. Emery's gonna get a bauble. Why didn't you at least play it? That's probably a mistake. I get 2 cards for that trigger. All my cards are counterable currently. Am I blocking this? I have to try to race here. Puts my opponent to 11, then down to 9. And I see where this goes. The Sheoldred is worth 8 life points per turn cycle. I just think that I'm not very well off if this Sheoldred leaves play, because like my opponent can just bobble me into oblivion. Could be one more if my opponent had played out a bobble last turn and just let it sit in play. Opponent using my Yavimaya against me. It seems like they found a Kappa Cannoneer. Oh, it's another Chalice of the Void, actually. Sure. Okay, opponent is holding back, which feels kind of wrong to me. Because the holding back favors me, because I just get the drains for each turn cycle. And I get more chances at drawing stage in depths, which is how I win this game. But I'll let them play however they want to play. They're down to 7. Alright, Construct's coming in. I will let that hit me. I think they should have... Well, maybe they're planning on chump blocking with this. I'm not dead to the Construct token next turn. Profane Tutor is a live draw. That has CMC 0. It's a slow one, but it's a live draw. I attack, my opponent chumps, they get drained down to 5. They're gonna need another creature. They can put 2 artifacts into play. They can kill me with the attack. You can also just like have an Ottawa or something. Alright. Death touch that thing away. Suspend Profane Tutor. Drain my opponent for 2. And you put 2 artifacts into play. It's a little harder because you have chalices on 1, 2, and 3. There's 1. So this is not a lethal attack. This puts me to 1. My opponent is currently dead on board. I have to have, I think, Ottawara, or they are dead. Alright, I gain 2 life. I guess show me Ottawara. Alright, opponent goes to 1, and they die from the Sheoldred trigger, unless they have Ottawara. Okay, opponent's dead. Alright, there's a check mark for Sheoldred getting a win. I imagine that my opponent punted this game. Like, the margins were very tight there. And I think if they had played out a Mishra's Bobble that one turn, they didn't, and gotten 2 more damage over it over the course of 2 turns, I'm just dead. Also, if they had anything better to do than cast these cards, they should have. Alright. Oof, double Force of Vigor can come in. Tabernacle probably needs to come in for Sai specifically. I think I'm just going to plan on boarding out Currency Converter in every round. Spellbomb is playable. Caracas, I guess, is also technically playable. Actually, maybe good. Keep an eye on those cards. I don't know how I feel about my discard. If I keep all of my crop rotations in, the discard helps me force those through. Assassin's Trophy feels really slow for this matchup. Crop rotation's really bad versus the counterspells. Profane Tutor's really slow. Get rid of Profane Tutor for being slow. This card is awkward. I might still keep it anyway, despite it being awkward. I don't have room for the Spell Bomb. I'm gonna get rid of these. I think. I don't know if they're important proposing Pithing Needles. Maybe I go Duresses out. And if I'm bringing in 2 lands, I can probably swap out 1 land. Maybe I get rid of this one. A little tough to make that one line up correctly the way that I want it to. Am I going to keep this essentially like Force of Vigor hand? I just intend on Force of Vigoring my opponent's like land and first relevant card. Not that bad. Don't know that it goes anywhere. Oh. So, probably just lead on Urborg Thoughtseize and then decide whether or not I need to or want to Force of Vigor just for the land. Alright. Urborg Thoughtseize you. Oh man, double Urza Saga is rough. take the Force of Will here so that my own Force of Vigor can resolve at some point. So then I'll play out Mox Diamond, junk the Verdant Catacombs, play out a Shadow Spear while I've got the mana for it, and pass the turn. I need a little help from the top of my deck here. The second Urza Saga is just absolutely brutal here. This means that like getting rid of like the first one and a token isn't fantastic. I'm not that far away from a combo kill, actually. It's really awkward to show my opponent this and then like let them get a Pithing Needle, but Force of Vigor will answer that. And I hope, I guess, to draw a green card. And then I can green card, Force of Vigor, Crop Rotation, Dark Depths, Stage, Bob's your uncle. Alright, there's the Urza Saga activation. It cost him some life. I assume this is Pithing Needle. Yep. I'm not saying that my opponent made a mistake, but unless they're about to dismember this Vampire Hexmage, I think they made a mistake. So, yeah. I don't think Shadow Spear is the problem here, is all I'm saying. Oh shit, I just naturally fucking drew Dark Depths. That's really good. That's really good. So now I upkeep, get rid of blue source so they can't get Psy into play and vomit artifacts. And I can just get a kill next turn. Alright. So, Force of Vigor, destroying Seat and a Construct token. Pitching Crop Rotation. Takes you off of main phase blue. Cool, cool. I suppose technically I could have also equipped Shadow Spear here. Alright, there is a Mox Opal. Fine. You still have Metalcraft. See if my opponent can produce Psy plus play a 0 or 1 cost card. They can. Okay, so they're not dead yet. Oh, also, Shadow Spear was Pithing Needled. Why I didn't do it. Past Phil knew something, present Phil didn't. Sure, this is fine. Yep. End of turn. Make my Dark Depths. And we see if we can beat Psy. It's tough, because my opponent does have Psy Emery, so like I'll need something else to do it. That helps a lot. That's not an easy win. Opera blocks. So, with Emery on board, my opponent always can cast an artifact there. I probably have to bounce the Emery and leave the Psy in play. Otherwise, my opponent just has 3 mana, 0 mana, do this. So, let's bounce Emery out of play. And see if my opponent has a castable artifact. Unfortunately, they do, so they live another turn. But I can do the nonsense that I'm doing every turn. Thought Monitor is bad. Now my opponent has 3 blockers. I think I'm dead to that. And, excuse me. Yeah. I don't think I beat this from here. I think my opponent, like, royally punted this game by putting Pithing Needle on Shadow Spear. And it didn't matter. Take 11 here. I even, like, played towards stopping the Psy. I just couldn't quite do it. I don't know, maybe my line is leave the other construct token, get rid of Pithing Needle on Shadow Spear. Yeah, I'm comfortable conceding here. Yeah, maybe I was supposed to get rid of this and leave the second construct token in play. It just seemed like my line was keep Psy out of play, though. Yeah, my sideboard's light on things, so I can't really actually answer Psy very well. I don't think I'm supposed to, like, convert into Doomsday or anything like that, though. Because, like, on the non-Psy hands, I can kill relatively quickly. But again, this is just a time where I wish I had more copies of Dark Depths. Yeah, just extrapolating further. I think when my opponent randomly has a bunch of Force of Wills, it's not worth it for me to go deep on the Doomsday plan. Okay, how do I play this hand if I keep it? It's really awkward that I don't have a second black source. Any black land means that I produce Merit Lodge on turn 2. That probably means that this hand is a keep. Play Mox Diamond, discarding Forest. Play Thoughtseize and sculpt my plan from there. Like, I'll get the information of whether or not I think going in on Urza's Saga is a good idea. I get that information immediately. That is an awful keep. That casts no spells. Like, that is... Wow. Go to 5. Emery is so good. You have so many draw 2s in your deck. Yeah, I take Force of Will here. 100%. I wasteland that Ancient Tomb, and my opponent probably never plays a card the entire game. Okay. Good game. I play Dark Depths here. I don't go in on Urza Saga. I just intend on playing Wasteland on my next turn. Like, you have to draw exactly, like, Seed of the Synod to play a turn 1 Emery there. I think that's exceptionally rough. I was short on Metalcraft for Mox Opal. That's costly. Disgusting. I can do another Thoughtseize to just kind of make sure that I still want to wasteland my opponent, which I believe that I do. Take Kappa here. I don't really care about Emery right now. Goodbye Kappa. Play Wasteland. Wasteland you. Got no castables. I guess you can draw a 0-cost artifact and play an Emery. But that did not happen. Okay. So I go to my opponent's turn, and then I just produce merit. Or no. Guess I have to do this at sorcery speed. I don't play around Force of Negation doing that. Okay, it's a little awkward, but there's one unknown card. It's probably fine. Look colorless. Make green. Crop rotation. Sacrifice Urza's Saga. Get Urborg. Comes into play untapped, allowing this to produce mana. I don't think I need to make this immediately for any reason. Let my opponent take their turn. They don't have mana to Otawara. So I think they are all no outs here. I guess they could hit... no, they could have cast a Aether Spellbomb. Now they don't have mana for anything. Yeah, that loss is on my opponent for not mulliganing. Sacrifice Hexmage, target depths. Alright, and we win the match. GG's. I don't think I deserve that one. I think my opponent just should have mulliganed again and beaten my relatively slow hand. Okay, my hand doesn't have enough mana for round 4, so this is an auto mulligan. Do I keep this and just kind of hope that it works out? Pitching the Sheoldred because it's too expensive. Currency Converter Sheoldred is technically a combo. Again, this is just another one of those situations where I just want 4 copies of fucking Dark Depths in my deck. Like, oh my gosh. This is just like the card I always want to draw. Alright. Pitch Sheoldred, try to play a reasonable mid-range-ish game. Yavimaya not being Urborg is huge here. Alright, we're playing against Death Shadow. Lead on Yavimaya here instead of Verdant Catacombs. Save the fetch for later, question mark. So we don't get wastelanded off of black. That is probably correct. So this might just be giving my opponent a snuff out or dismember target, if I'm being totally honest. Or a fatal push target. Yeah, whatever. So, yeah, okay. That's why we didn't play Verdant Catacombs. Ancient Tomb, not good here. Please don't stifle me. Cool. Bayou into Elvish Reclaimer. Gross. Pitching a Force of Will. Can't play my Vampire Hexmages here. My Currency Converter is kind of weak. This is like almost a good card. I can play Ancient Tomb, cast Crop Rotation, get rid of Bayou, get Urborg, play Vampire Hexmage this turn, or I can just try to save this to find Dark Depths. I think I'm going to save it to find Dark Depths. I believe I cast this off of this mana in case I change my mind and want to Crop Rotation after this resolves. Or in case it doesn't resolve, rather. Let's loot. There's a wasteland. I've made my land drop for this turn. I think I just dunk the land so that I can turn it into a treasure for next turn. Alright. Got a currency converter going. Let's see if it is worth its weight in this deck list. It will allow me to get to black, which is nice. Ugh. Wait. Hold on. Hold on. Huh. 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 Okay. So my game plan has now become Urza Saga. Do I want Vampire Hexmage in play? Or do I just want a treasure token in play? I think I just want a treasure token in play. Make these constructs larger. This game got weird fast. Alright, currency converter actually doing some work because of my opponent's Hymn to Turok. Okay. Yes. You are only making me stronger. Now I can just make a whole bunch of 2/2s. But I think I don't need to go for the Wasteland immediately, since there's only one thing under here. Kappa. Alright. My draw punishes me, but I think it's probably fine. I just have so many blockers for Death Shadows, and my opponent doesn't even have that many cards left. Alright, Murktide Regent is annoying. So let's pay 2 life, get a token, tap this, and get the treasure now. My 2/2s aren't attacking in super well. This puts an Expedition map into play. I use 2 mana to crack Expedition map, getting Thespian stage. I use 2 mana to copy. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana this turn. Making an Urza Saga token would count towards 3 of that, so I don't actually want to do that. Let's float. Expedition map. 2 mana, crack. Find Thespian stage. Play Thespian stage. We're just going to do this now to play around Stifle. Copy. Okay, cool. GG's. That is a game that we potentially could have won just by staying on the mid-range plan and potentially just beating Murktide Regent that way. But most of the wins on the board have been to Dark Depths. Like, overwhelmingly so. I'm probably sideboarding minimally here. Currency Converter is nice insurance versus my opponent's discard, apparently. I don't think I'm sideboarding anything. Like, Spellbomb is, I guess, playable. Not super exciting. But it's just nice insurance versus Murktide Regent and or Gurmag Angler. With the Bojuka Bog already, maybe I don't need it. But I guess keeping Murktide Regent out of play is important because A, it kills me fast, and B, it blocks. Could potentially get rid of this, but an okay Elvish Reclaimer target. Though I haven't really had much open mana to just sink into this. I've usually had things to do with my mana since like I have Urza Saga, as well as some more expensive cards like Endurance and Sheoldred. Get this in here, over this. This sure doesn't have green mana. Despite having 3 land drops, I think that makes this too awkward. Has no land, go to 5. Wow, this is still very bad for a 5-card hand. I don't know that it's worth going to 4, but I'm thinking about it. It just has 1 castable card, and the 1 card that's castable is very much not good. Like, you don't want a crop rotation before you do anything else. Not safe. I think a hand with Urza Saga Ancient Tomb is just better than this, like, as a 2-card hand. And I think something that has at least one of my combo pieces is probably better than this. I would rather go to 4 than keep this hand. I just don't think this one is functional. This is easily the best hand so far. 3 of these are going back. Crop rotation is going back. Endurance is going back. The last one's tougher. Bog. Keep Bog as something tutorable. And then this way, if I get Thought Seized on turn 1, I always have a play. I did not get Thought Seized on turn 1. That's a good draw. I think I play Forest into Currency Converter. It best insulates me versus Him to Turok. Alright, are we getting Spell Pierced or something? We're getting Dazed. Okay, cool. That means I'm not getting Hymned right now, which is nice. I'm not getting Wastelanded. I could get Thought Seized, and I could lose the Elvish Reclaimer, but then I still have Urza's Saga, which is good. Let's play Saga so I can play Elvish Reclaimer around Daze. Alright, there's the Daze. The opponent is not quite in Death Shadow range, but they're not too far off. I'm very afraid of Wasteland taking Urza Saga away from me here. No shuffle. Okay, it's not Wasteland. And it's also not Death Shadow. Fantastic. So this will just be stage pass for me. I'll make a construct token, and then work towards killing my opponent with a Merit Lodge if the constructs don't work. So I could just get Shadow Spear. I guess a lot of it depends on whether or not my opponent has Murktide here. Down to 9. Wasteland's very, 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 very fucking good. Going after the Urza Saga. I'll make my token. Goodbye, Urza Saga. Is there a Murktide as follow-up? Seems like yes. Okay. Opponent is incredibly favored right now. I am just going to go ahead and use my mana to immediately copy a basic forest. Actually, that's not true, is it? Because my opponent randomly wastelands Urborg, I want to be able to copy that. No, let's still copy the forest. Because top deck Vampire Hexmage doesn't mean anything. So this is yet another instance where I want 4 Dark Depths in my deck, so that I just have a higher chance of top decking them when I need them. Okay. I am on a very scary clock here. My opponent doesn't have a lot of life. So, in case you're not familiar with this interaction, whenever an instant or sorcery leaves your graveyard, you put a +1/+1 counter on Murktide Regent. So I could grow my opponent's Murktide Regent very easily. So I will hit my opponent for 1, bring them to 8. I'll then go ahead and pass the turn with the intention of playing Endurance. I'm not going to play it out immediately in case they do some damage to themselves here. I'm willing to just take this hit for 6. Puts me to 8. I'm not dead to Murktide next turn, but it ain't looking good. Force, pitching a Force of Negation. That is not a playable card right now. It kills me. I'll attack for 1. Put my opponent to 6. I need to draw Dark Depths. That's just what this comes down to. Do I draw Dark Depths or not? Okay. I believe this is a misplay from my opponent. They're supposed to do that in their first main phase, so that if they find a second Murktide Regent, they can kill me this turn. Because Brainstorm would be 5 cards in graveyard, this would be 6 cards in graveyard. They can just do it. Duress. That means that I am dead. Let's see if my opponent has any cool tech in their hand before I concede. Snuff out and Brainstorm. Okay. I concede. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. I don't think I want to, again, go into the Thassa's Oracle game plan versus the discard and counterspell sweet deck. This is an unexciting hand that I probably keep. Probably. Let's keep it. I think I thought Seize on turn 1. And then followed up with turn 2 Urza Saga and Spellbomb. Mana's a touch awkward, but hopefully that's fine. It's also just possible that the only card that I care about here is the Death Shadow, really. Thoughtseize taking my Sheoldred is a little annoying. That card's really good as this game goes along, but I think I just take my opponent's threat so that that can't sneak into play. Alright. I could see taking the Thoughtseize being correct, though. Like, Sheoldred's really good in this matchup. But I think this is fine. Like, my opponent's life total just goes down into Death Shadow range just so quickly with the stuff that they have here. That I don't want to fuck around with Death Shadow with Force of Will protection. Also possible that my opponent is supposed to take my Spellbomb. Oh, I can't cast that card. Anyway, finishing the thought, it's also possible that I'm supposed to rack the spell bomb on my opponent's turn, so Murktide Regent can't happen. This has already happened. Alright, the Saga. Spell bomb. I don't need to do it immediately. Yeah. Opponent sees the value in that card. Very understandable, because one of the few ways that they can win here is top decking a Murktide Regent. And opponent realizes that. They don't get one this turn. Okay. So their hand is now mystery cards. They're down to 10. The Gurmag Angler, it seems like. Angler is significantly less scary than Murktide Regent. Angler can be chump blocked. Another Sheoldred. That's fine. This Tomb pass. And now I just kind of hope that my construct tokens can beat my opponent's Gurmag Angler. I'm effectively taking 7 a turn from Urza Saga damage. Ah, fuck. Alright. So that puts me to 11. Okay. 9. Tokens are 2/2s. I think it's got to be Shadow Spear. Margins are very tough here. I don't think I can Thoughtseize my opponent given the life total that I'm at. I just have to pass the turn here. I think I'm effectively dead to a Snuff Out effect. Just like with the Ancient Tomb in play already. So am I blocking? If I block and my opponent has a removal spell, I'm very dead. But I think if I don't block, I'm also just very dead. If I don't block and my opponent has a like Street Wraith type card, I die on the spot. And I also can't tap Ancient Tomb. So which one of these do I block? If I block the Gurmag Angler, I lose both of these. They deal 3 damage, 2 damage, and first time state-based effects are checked, this died. The second time that dies, so I think I go for the Death Shadow. And hope that my opponent has Stone Cold nothing. I'm not beating anything here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm dead to that. So I take 5, I lose my only creature. The Shadow Spear now does nothing. I don't have black to play any of my cool cards. And that doesn't help. Alright. We'll concede. GG's. Alright, final round here. I just don't think this hand is functional. It just doesn't have enough persistent mana. This hand is also quite bad. I have to decide whether or not I'm willing to keep this. It doesn't have any black mana, so I have 2 dead cards in hand. I, in theory, can get black mana with Elvish Reclaimer. I'm probably supposed to keep this and just Elvish Reclaimer or Dark Depths and kind of hope that things work out. And get rid of my card that has black pips here. That's just unrealistic. With 2 tutors, I can hopefully put together a combo kill in about the first 4 turns. Okay. We're in Spicy Town, USA. I don't know exactly what we're playing against, but it's probably something that wants 8 taigas. I think I'm always just playing Elvish Reclaimer off basic forest here, so I will forego thinking about this further until I just see what my opponent is. Oh, is it like gonna be like Turbo Initiative? Goblins? Food Chain Goblins? Nope. Okay. So the good news here is that my opponent is gonna be super soft to a Merit Lodge. So what do I do? In this turn cycle, I turn Forest into Yavimaya. Then I guess I can turn both Seiju into Yavimaya. Then I crop rotation my other land into Dark Depths, tap it for mana, Thespian stage go. So I don't super care about this unless I hit my disaster case scenarios. I think I'm never gonna win the mid-range game versus this deck. So I think I'm actually gonna plan on rotating away this Urza Saga. And this lets me hold up both Seiju. That's a squee. Yeah, we are playing against Food Chain Goblins. Is this Food Chain twice in the same league? Or was that last league? I've recorded 2 leagues today, so it is a blur. Alright, another Cavern on Goblin. That's a Ringleader. My opponent gets Squee and Crater Maker to hand. I just take 4 here. I'm going to put 2 lands into my graveyard right now. I want a crop rotation right now. Crop rotation away. Urza Saga into Yavimaya. Yavimaya away. Forest for Dark Depths. That's fine. It's still only 2 lands in graveyard, though. This is all fine. Crop rotation. Sacrifice Urza Saga. Actually, is Urborg better? Urborg might be better. No, Yavimaya is better because of my Both Seiju. Alright. Then activate Reclaimer. Getting rid of this for Dark Depths. Now I have to decide whether or not I'm playing around Wasteland. I don't know the Food Chain Goblins deck lists. I think I want to wait because of Sting Scourger. I think I want to wait because of Sting Scourger. I lose to Wasteland. Let it be known that I was aware it could happen. Like, especially with my opponent having Matron on top of deck. I think I just need to, like, be holding up Boseiju and playing around Sting Scourger. Fuck me. Okay. Very tilting, especially since, like, I knew 2 of the cards in my opponent's hand. And I knew the top of their library. Alright, so you get Exalted here. Turning that into a 3-3. I maybe don't want to get cute and block with a 3-4. I think I just take that hit. Go to 13. See what my opponent does with their turn. I think I do activate Reclaimer, though. And just turn it into a larger creature for the purposes of future turns. Just replacing the Thespian stage that I took. Get Wasteland, too. I'll pick up a stage, though. I can work towards both Seijuing that Wasteland as well. Or just drawing a crop rotation or whatever. Or that. I don't really know that I beat my opponent by transitioning into this plan. Urza Saga plan. Not having access to black is a little awkward for this Assassin's Trophy. I can go 2 mana, Boseiju the Wasteland, then my opponent Wastelands me, and I just Life from the Loam it back. That sounds pretty good. This also potentially takes that Goblin Matron off the top of the library, and that card scares me. I guess I could have played Urza Saga prior to doing this and just used Elvish Reclaimer instead of Life from the Loam. That would have been better. Alright. Float green. Play Urza Saga. Do I want to Life from the Loam, or do I just want to activate Elvish Reclaimer? I just want to activate Elvish Reclaimer. But I could have done this more cleanly than I did. I could have done this without using that land drop. Alright. There's a Thespian stage. My combo's on board. Opponent's got a lot of damage on board, though. They've got 6 on board, plus a Matron for whatever that ends up doing. A Wasteland on top of library. You have, like, Sting Scourger. If you have Sting Scourger, life's really bad for me. Sling Gang. Sling Gang kills me next turn, right? Takes 6 now. Okay. Bayou's very good. I live if I go to 5. I mean, I probably don't have a choice. I'm just dead to that card. The Thoughtseize my opponent. Take the Sling Gang. I believe make my Merit Lodge at sorcery speed, because now I've confirmed that Wasteland is a thing. And if this is good enough, I've got 2 blockers. We'll see what my opponent can do. Goblin Matron for Sting Scourger isn't enough right now. They don't have the mana for it. I know they didn't draw it. So I think I'm good. I'm not good by a large margin. I guess my opponent can play Goblin Matron, try to get Skirk Prospector as their top card of library, and do something with that. Play this game sloppily. Alright, they're gonna go for Ringleader instead. Oh shit, does that leave me exactly dead? Damn, that leaves me exactly dead. So I block a 2-2, block a 2-2, take exactly 5. That's frustrating. Okay. I mean, it is what it is. I think I don't really get to sideboard here. My opponent has so much haste damage that I don't think and so much damage period that I don't think Doomsday is reasonable. And I guess Tabernacle is technically playable. Like, Duress is pretty bad most of the time. Like, I can hit Food Chain, but that's about it. Yikes. I don't think I can play that. I think I'm just boarding in another land. My opponent has too many win conditions for, like, port to be reasonable. This has the combo pieces. It's going to be a keep. Also got a wasteland for an opposing wasteland. This land in hand, being a ETB tapped land, is a little bit awkward. But we'll make it work. It's also awkward that this is in my hand, so I can't use it to protect Merit Lodge. Alright. The turn 1 is always this. I have no ability to deviate from that. Things start getting more interesting on turn 2. If my opponent doesn't have a mana dork, I might just wasteland them on turn 1. If they have a mana dork, I don't think that's super reasonable. Probably buy Thoughtseize over wastelanding them. If I don't go for the Thoughtseize, I randomly will lose to, like, Fury type cards too much of the time. Okay, choices. I can just take the Ignoble Hierarch and try to strand all of these cards in my opponent's hand, and then, like, plan on wastelanding them the next turn, or I can take a card that reasonably beats me, like Food Chain. I think given that I have both of my combo pieces in hand, I'm okay going after their mana. If I don't take the Ignoble Hierarch, they just get to go play Ignoble Hierarch, attack with this as a 2/2, and it makes life really awkward for my Elvish Reclaimer. Okay, that's obviously bad for me. Mox Diamond. That's very good. I think I wasteland my opponent's Copperline Gorge. I just know all of their cards in hand, though. Like, yeah. I think that was sloppy fetching from my opponent. Now I just do an end of turn Elvish Reclaimer activation and get there. Sure, that's fine. So I think I end of turn Forest into Dark Depths. Play Mox Diamond, discarding this, play Thespian Stage, and then just say, like, you need to combo off next turn, or you are dead. It's possible I can just get a Wasteland, though, and just do the same thing that I just did again. Like, that might just be better. Doesn't risk Food Chain. It might just be better. Okay. Wasteland that again. Play out a Thespian Stage. Call it a turn. End of turn, I turn Bayou. This, actually, do I need to? I don't really need to, right? They just play Mox Diamond, discard this, and I just have the mana to do it. Yeah, I don't need to activate this here. And I can keep Bayou. It's less awkward for me. Alright, Caracas is fine. Playing Copperline Gorge in your deck that wants to be casting 4-drops seems rough. Alright, discard this. Play Depths. Pass turn. I'll go ahead and do this and do it in a way that plays around Wasteland. There's Merit Lodge. Yep. So I think if my opponent had not cracked their Arid Mesa, I probably wouldn't have Wastelanded them. So I think it's very possible they punted that game by fetching early and fetching that Badlands. Like, there's worlds where they cast a Food Chain, and then, like, they have a 2-drop in hand. They can turn Lackey into Thing, into Ringleaders, and potentially combo off. Yeah, don't think I can defend the Monarch here. Let's just submit. This hand is an auto mulligan. It doesn't really produce any of my colors of mana. Is this hand good? It is probably good enough. I don't think I would categorize this hand as actively good, but it might do the things that I need a hand to do. Alright, that is Lackey, meaning that I probably have to lead on Reclaimer as a blocker. I got Basic Mountain. Really awkward if they, like, play Exalted Creature, and I play Elvish Reclaimer this turn. I'm still going to do it, and, like, removal spells like Dead Gone are a thing, but okay. This is fine. Alright, fantastic. I think at this point I'm interested in Thought Seizing over holding up Crop Rotation. See what's going on over there. Alright, there's a food chain that I probably have to take. One's got a wasteland, which is super awkward. So we're gonna stare at each other for a little while, as neither one of us effectively plays spells and uses our mana. I'm not getting wastelanded. Good news for me, I guess. So there goes my opponent's opportunity to wasteland me. Very happy about that. Let's Thoughtseize now. Do I need to play out Boseiju first? I can crop rotation in response to a red damage spell. No, if my opponent had a red damage spell, this would already be dead, and I would have taken damage. I don't need to do that. Alright, Thoughtseize you. I'll absolutely take the Matron. Then play this one out. And shut off Wasteland for the rest of the game. Presumably. And then crop rotation away Caracas for one of my pieces. Alright, that's annoying. Alright, do you have Sting Scourger? Oh, they're going for a Horde Master instead. That grows the Goblin Lackey and allows it to attack. But I'm going to put 2 lands into Graveyard in this turn cycle. 1 off crop rotation, 1 off an Elvish Reclaimer activation. I don't think that's an actual problem. Rotate away the Caracas. I'm not really interested in that card right now. Okay, there is the 4th mana. There's the Horde Master. Oh, this is such a sick blowout for me. And I know my opponent's 2 cards. So, like, this works with 100% certainty. Block here. 2 mana. Rotate this away. Find a stage. Drop rotation. Sacrifice this. Now a 3/4. Find a depths. Kill this in combat. That does trigger. Goblin Crater Maker. Which would have been a problem if my opponent had just a touch more mana. But they don't. Okay. So I'll be doing this at sorcery speed, because I don't want this into that to happen. Stage. Target depths. Keep the one with no ice counters. Opponent should be dead in the air next turn. Stuff can happen. Like, my opponent can top deck a food chain, and I die to that. But that did not happen this time. And we end up with a 3-2 finish, for what was a pretty difficult league. Okay, I know I had many Dark Depths wins. I know I had multiple Sheoldred wins. Damien, please check and see whether or not I had a mid-range win. Off the top of my head, I think the answer is no, but double check me. As far as the deck list goes, I think it's bad deck building as it stands currently, but you don't need to change a lot to turn this into good deck building. So here are some of my thoughts in no particular order. Number 1, this 5-card Doomsday package that is in the sideboard I think is rough. This deck doesn't have a large enough crop rotation package to include some things like Glacial Chasm and Maze of Ith that would take the pressure off of my life total. So since I'm not killing creatures, those creatures are being left in play, and I think it's really tough for this mana base to get black, black, black for the Doomsday when you don't have Urborg. Because, like, if we just take a look, and I'll drag these out of the way for a minute to show this point. Look at all of these lands that are not contributing black towards Doomsday. It's almost all of them. So unless you have Urborg, you're not going to successfully resolve a Doomsday. And while the Doomsday is a cool juke, I don't think that that's winning you the game enough of a time that it's worth basically destroying your entire sideboard. So, like, throughout this league, I basically had like a 3-card sideboard, right? I never boarded in any of these cards. I never boarded in any of these cards. So, like, this was my sideboard for this league, and I very much felt hamstrung by that. So that's kind of my point 1. I do think the Sheoldred juke is totally fine. It's a little bit worse. Like, if this was a Dark Ritual deck, and, like, you had Dark Rituals to power out, like, Sheoldred and Court and Doomsday, I think, like, the Doomsday becomes more reasonable. I think for this deck, I want more fast mana. I think what I learned from the like ad nauseum depths deck lists that were trying to do neat things is that like the fast mana was really good. So I think I don't want some of the interaction. Like, I think I want to get rid of endurances and maybe assassins trophies, maybe cut the Urza Saga package by one card, maybe not currency converter, maybe currency converter. Anyway, I think I want to cut about 5 cards for just more mana. I want 2 more Mox Diamonds. I maybe want 1 more Lotus Petal. I want 1 more Dark Depths. Like, I just want more consistency. So, like, maybe Diamond, Diamond, Stage, Depths, Petal, or something like that as my main deck, I think is really good. My artifact count was low for Urza Saga, and I think that's part of the reason why I didn't win very many mid-range games with this deck list, is like, there aren't that many artifacts in this deck. So you just need, like, Urza Saga activate, and, like, nothing to go wrong. I also think this deck could use some Pithing Needles. Like, Wasteland is really good against this deck list, despite, like, having crop rotations and Elvish Reclaimers to help out with that. So, like, I would not hate having access to more copies of that card, because I think conceptually, like, this is a Depths deck list, first and foremost, that has other pivot win conditions, and I think that needs to be respected. As far as other thoughts, if we take out the whole Doomsday pivot sideboard plan, like, you can take another pivot. Like, you could play more copies of Sheoldred. You could play something like Rotting Regisaur that can just come down and spiral a game out of control. You could play a Black Initiative card or something. I think you've got options. Or, like, move some of the endurances to the sideboard. Yeah, I don't know exactly. There's something here, right? Like, despite the things that are wrong, air quotes, with the deck construction here, like, we put up a 3-2 and very narrowly almost got a 4-1. Like, some things went wrong in our direction to, like, not get another win. So, like, I complain about, like, some of the deck building here a decent amount, but, like, at the end of the day, scoreboard, I was fighting an uphill battle. I was maybe fighting with an arm tied behind my back here, but the deck conceptually is not bad. I don't know that I give it a thumbs up as it's currently constructed. You get, like, weird sideways wiggle thumb, but I think this has promise, and the general ideas of what's going on here, and trying to play some singularly powerful cards that snowball. Like, I get what's going on. I understand the deck construction. I just think you need to pivot it in one direction or another, and, like, maybe you can go up 1 more Urza Saga as well if you start playing more artifact mana. Okay, that was like 5 minutes of word vomit. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button on the way out. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Would love to hear your thoughts on the deck building here. All right, see ya.